Welcome to the Raider Talks midweek episode. I am your host, Art Navarrete, here alongside Nick Ibarra. Before we get started, hit that subscribe button down below for Raider content all season long. Nick.
Yeah.
If Josh McDaniels loses to the Lions on Monday Night Football, he will be getting fired.
I think so. I hope so. I mean, it would already be a year and a half of the Josh McDaniels experiment system. And, it's not working.
I mean, we all wanted him fired on Monday morning after that Sunday loss against the Bears. And that's just, there's people holding up signs to Mark Davis, telling him to get rid of McDaniels. Mark Davis looked at that fan and said, I hear you. So Mark Davis has to start feeling the pressure. And I think with a loss on Monday Night Football, I think Mark Davis is going to have to give in and is going to have to fire him. It's so bad now to where you have to fire him. You can't keep him and think we're going to get better.
Yeah.
This is a project that we need to, we had Basaccia for short term. We had a couple guys for 2 years or something. He wants something long, but this guy isn't going to be the guy. It's going to be a long-term coach for the Raiders.
Yeah, this isn't it. It's not even a sample size. It's a good size of games that he's coached. It's a good size of things that we've seen, and it's just not good. And like you just said, the pressure is adding up. Yes, the pressure is adding up because now, we're supposed to be in win now mode. We got all-star players. We've got things. We got a new stadium. We got everything, and we're not winning. And, it's gotten so bad that everyone's feeling bad for Crosby and Adams because now they're just wasting their prime years in a place where no one could thrive in.
Josh McDaniels, has been just so bad. The offensive play calling hasn't been good. And McDaniels took over a Raiders team that made the playoffs. And now it seems like we're a team that's far from a playoff team and is nowhere close. And there's no end of the tunnel in sight for the Raiders right now as long as he's the head coach.
Right. And I'm going to just give you a little rundown of these last 24 games. He's blown 5 double-digit leads, and we were there for one of them, the Cardinal game. And it was like, what are you doing? Like, we were playing to protect the lead, but we were playing way too conservative.
In that football game, we might have just been one first down in the second half away from winning that game.
And even one tackle. Like, won anything. And it just won anything. He's failed to score 20 points in the last 9 of his past 10 games. Like, you're an offensive guy, and we're going to probably get more into this. You're an offensive guy, and you can't put up 20 points. You need to put up more than 20 points to win in the NFL. You lost to Jeff Saturday, and just the week before he was coaching a high school football team. And just weeks before that, he was on ESPN.
I think that high school football team had a losing record as well. I'm just saying.
And in that game, you looked at some points, he probably got out-coached too. Jeff Saturday said, nope, Matt Ryan, you're in. You're doing this. We're going to fix some things around. And they looked decent, and they beat us in that football game. And then this past week you lose to an undrafted D2 quarterback in his first ever start. And now Bears fans are all crazy and he's better than Justin Fields, better than that. No, it's just Raider week. But, you gave him that confidence. Then you lost to Baker Mayfield, another one that we were there too. They signed him that Monday, Tuesday, and, he came out in the second series of that game and never looked back and led him to a 90-something yard touchdown at the end to win it. So, there's a lot of things that he's done, and it's crazy to think, well, the things I just said. Oh, was this 2 years? Was this in 3 years? No, it was in a year and a half. This was in 24 games. He is 9-15 in his last 24 games, and just like you said, he took over a 10-7 playoff roster. 10-7 playoff roster, and I know there's a lot of controversy and everything. Got rid of the franchise quarterback, traded our tight end, who at one point looked like an all-pro bowler, doesn't use our pro bowler in Renfro, and now Jacobs looks worse than even last year because of this offensive line. Yeah,
I mean, there's a couple things in there that I'm just iffy about. Jacobs, I feel like it's a mix of the offensive line being bad, and that's Ziegler and McDaniels, the Patriots regime, not going out and getting offensive linemen during the offseason instead of being content with those guys. Obviously, Jacobs hasn't ran as good either. Me and you were watching old highlights of old Raider games, and Jacobs looked way quicker, way more explosive, and he doesn't have that right now. So that's due to Josh Jacobs. Waller, understand it. I understand it, and I think they actually did bring in a good tight end in Michael Mayer, but they're just not using him, and that's Josh McDaniels' fault, not being able to use his tight end, impressive young rookie tight end that he has right now, not being able to use an all-pro in Renfro. And there's a point where you're starting to think that, it might be Renfro's fault. Maybe Renfro's just not getting open. Maybe he lost a step. Maybe he's just not who he used to be. Yeah. But now, as you're starting to see everybody's play decline, Devontae Adams decline. And year two, his production decline. Then you're starting to think, okay, it's McDaniels' fault, not Renfro.
Yeah, I think you look at all these and it's just like, okay, and like we said, Jacobs had a great year one under Josh McDaniels, regressed. We've seen Renfro, we've seen all these players. Devontae, you're not getting in the ball enough, you're not making plays for him. Just this week, you sit there, you throw to him 5 or 6 times, he gets 4 or 5 catches for 50-something yards, then you don't look to him the rest of the game.
It's almost like McDaniels wanted to make a statement like, here you go, are you happy now? You got your 5 or 6 catches in the first quarter, now we're not throwing to you again. And I don't know if that's him. It's probably not him. Is it the quarterback? I don't know. But these are the quarterbacks he chose to have. Yeah. These are the quarterbacks that he chose. And I'm not saying Derek Carr's a guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Stidham's a guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl or any of these 3 guys right now. But instead of... he could have got an upgrade this offseason. He could have went for the home run or something. He could have traded first-round draft picks and got a C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson. Instead, he goes with Garoppolo, gets a 2-year deal with him now, and then you get Aiden O'Connell, and then you get Brian Hoyer. All his quarterbacks are struggling, and that has to do with Ziegler and him and this regime, and I just think they're messing up on many different levels. And, not only... they're messing up on a lot of draft picks too. A lot of guys from last season that aren't even on the team. A couple, 2 or 3 draft picks aren't even on the team, including this year. Yeah. So it's really unfortunate what's happening in Vegas, and it's time. And these guys, McDaniels, Ziegler, I'm putting them both together in a statement, but they had promised Mark Davis an explosive offense when they came. Yeah. That was literally what the press conference was about when they first came. Like, we're going to have an explosive offense. Mark Davis, we're going to be explosive, right?
And I bet you...
And we're not.
And I bet you last offseason and this offseason, you went up and said, hey, this is my plan. This is what I want to do with this offense. We're going to be explosive. We have so many weapons. I'm going to play the Derek Carr's game. I'm just talking about last year. We're going to play the Derek Carr's game, this and that. Doesn't happen. We get rid of him. Okay, let me bring in a quarterback that I know. 2 of them, actually. Let me bring in Garoppolo. Let me bring in Hoyer. Well, we've seen both of them, and they don't look good at all. Matter of fact, all 3 of our quarterbacks have more interceptions
and picks
than touchdowns. And I still think Garoppolo leads the league in picks.
Yeah, they're up there.
So it is, and then last year, maybe it's this offense that just has a turnover problem in general, because we threw a lot of picks last year, and now it's the same thing this year.
Yeah, and that has to do with play calling. That has to do with a coach. That has to do with discipline. That has to do with a lot of different things. And... not only just the offensive play calling, but just everything. There's times where there's big plays for the Raiders, right? And there's a bad call by the ref or something, and it seems like we don't know how to throw the challenge flag in the right times. It seems like we don't know the times when to call timeout or when not to call timeout. And it's those little things that when you brought these Patriot guys in here, you thought those guys were going to have those on lock. They're going to be really good at coaching. They're going to be really good at managing the football game. But Josh McDaniels is not only bad at offensive play calling, but he's not good at managing a football game as a head coach. Yeah. So that's what makes it even worse.
And we've talked about it. We've texted about it. We came on here about it. There was a game where you probably could have put up some major points leading into the half, and then you were getting the ball back at half. I can't remember if it was a Patriot game or a Packer game. And you could have took advantage of that. And it could have been a 10, 14-point swing, and we could have got, out of that game cool, in the second, third quarter. But you didn't. You didn't call timeouts. You didn't do anything. And it's just like, what are you doing? Other teams sit there, and they love having the ball with a minute left, whole bunch of timeouts, and try to go score at least a 3. Nothing. Or there's times with the Pittsburgh game. Why are you going for a field goal when we're down 8? Like, there's no guarantee we're not going to get the ball back, and we didn't. You know, you don't have a play to get us that 5 or 6 yards that we need for a first down or a big home run play, a touchdown. Like, you don't have that. Like, now you're starting to see him second guessing himself a little bit.
And I might be more on board with McDaniels if, like, throughout these weeks, I've seen him, like, try different things offensively. But he continues to do the same offense over and over and over again. And obviously, over and over and over again, it's not working. You're not even seeing an effort to change from him. You're not even seeing an effort
you're absolutely right.
You're not even seeing an effort for him to, you know, try to mix things up, try to do something different because what he's used to doing is not working. Instead, he's doing what he's used to doing, and it's not working, and he's going to stick with it, and he's going to die by it. Instead of going out and trying some more creative plays or doing some other things. And that's the bad part, is that you don't see him trying to get better throughout the week with his play calling. He's just doing the same old thing, and that's what irritates all the Raiders.
And you know what? And it's frustrating when he sits there and he explains himself, and it's just like, what are you talking about? Like, that's. Did you not watch the game? Did you not see what us fans saw? Like, he said something this week of the Raiders-Bears game being like 6 or 7 plays away from totally turning around. We lost by like almost 3 possessions. Like, it's not, you know, it's not 6 plays or whatever. You know, it is. It just sucks. It's frustrating. It's the same thing every week. You know, and we're not defensive coordinators or offensive minded, but we know what they're running when the offense comes out. That's how predictable it's getting. You know, so I mean, it is. It's frustrating, and you look back, and I don't see a future for him with this team.
No, I don't see a future either. And the way the Raiders are playing right now, you know, Jimmy G's gonna play quarterback next week. Jimmy G's going to have to be the guy that saves McDaniels' job. Because I feel like if the Raiders really lose this game, it's over. You can't lose on national television again. And the way that, you know, we're probably going to lose, I'm going to this game pumped up, wanting us to win. Let's get back to 500. Because I'm a Raider fan before anything. I can care less about Josh McDaniels. Like, I want the Raiders to win now. So I'm rooting for the Raiders, and I want them to win now. But the direction that this game is heading into after last week, and even the wins prior, the ugly wins prior, we were probably going to get our butts whooped on national television to the Lions. And that should be the final straw for Mark Davis.
I would think so.
And I'm saying that I want us to win. I do want us to win. I'm a Raider fan for anything.
And no matter what, no matter who's on the roster, who's coaching, whatever, we're 3-4. I seriously hope we win the next 10 in a row and shock a whole bunch of people. You know, I'm not sitting here looking at draft boards or, you know, this and that, but just the way we're playing. Our offense hasn't even scored 20 points yet. So it's just like, how can we expect to go into Detroit on Monday Night Football? They're 5-2. They're kind of hot. They got their butts whipped. They're coming in angry. And expect to do something when we can't even put up 20 points, you know? And so it's one of those things where it is. Before anything, we're all Raider fans. We all want us to win every week, no matter what. No matter what. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care who the coach is or draft position or draft boards or whatever. I just want us to win. But the way that the system is set up and who's coaching, whatever, it's not doable.
Yeah, like you saying that, we want us to win and stuff. But it is, I have to admit, it is starting to get tricky watching these football games because you're like, if we lose this game, Josh McDaniels might get fired finally. Because you're at the point now you feel like we ain't going to win a big one with Josh McDaniels. We're not even going to make the playoffs with Josh McDaniels. We're not going to win a Super Bowl with Josh McDaniels. You're at that point where you're watching the games and you're like, obviously you want the Raiders to win, but if we lose, Josh McDaniels can get fired. What's better? And you start thinking like that, and when you start thinking like that, which is very bad to think that way, then you really know you have a coaching problem, and this coach is not it. If you start thinking that way,
and you know, and we were, I can say for myself, we were bought in. His press conferences, him and Ziegler, I remember listening to it at work and getting away from work just to listen to it. I was excited. He said all the right things. This is what we're doing with this. This is what we want to do. I'm going to bring in this guy. Defense is going to be this. You know, we're going to bring in, we want guys with hustle and that know the game and smart players. And then they go out and get Devontae and you're like, these guys ain't messing around. We all text about it. These guys ain't messing around. And, you know, and still after year one, you know, it was still what we can say excuses of, well, you know, we had the 5 leads. You know, if we just protect them or score a little bit more or a couple plays away, we're a playoff team. Or if we go do this, we go do that. You know, it was hard for me letting go of Derek Carr, but hey, if you're going to bring in your guy and your guy plays like how Stidham played against the number 1 D in San Francisco, then shoot, hell yeah, let's do it. You know, and now you go and we're almost halfway point of this season, and it's the same thing. Everything's regressed offensively. What we brought you in here to do, and you can't even put up 20. And you know you got to win by just defense only, and that's really probably not our strong suit. Like we're just barely getting to that point where hey, we're average, we're decent, we're good. It's disappointing.
I mean, you're starting to feel like even if we had Aaron Rodgers on this football team, we're not going to be good because of Josh McDaniels' play calling. Yeah. Like, you're starting to feel that way. You feel like the only savior now is Tom Brady because Tom Brady can care less what Josh McDaniels calls. Tom Brady's going to do whatever he wants. Aaron Rodgers might be the same way as well. But you're starting to feel like any quarterback Josh McDaniels has, even prime Joe Montana, like, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You can have Kenny Stabler. You can have Jim Plunkett. And you feel like with this guy calling an offense, we're not going to do good. I probably made bad examples because all those guys are probably going to win no matter what. But you know what I'm saying. You're starting to feel really really bad about Josh McDaniels, and his offense, and the way he runs a team.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you this. His first stint as a head coach with Denver, and we're getting to that point because they fired him after game 27-28.
Yes.
I could be wrong, but right in there. He had, I think, 11 wins. Right now, he's at 9 at 24 going into 25. And it's basically the same thing. Ran out your franchise quarterback, your offensive guy. Offense couldn't really score. I think Denver has better offensive numbers than us. Or his Denver teams got better offensive numbers than us these last 2 years, especially this year. So it's history's repeating itself. So you know what you're getting. Yeah. You know, if you're Mark Davis, you know what you're getting. It's nothing's going to come out. And it's not like he drafted, and I wanted to say this early in the show, it's not like he drafted a Stroud or a Bryce Young, traded up to where, you're going to develop him. Now you're going to develop him, and you know, you're going to develop him, and okay, now it's going to take time. But you got, you know, a Hoyer who's 0-16 his last 16 games and old, and then you got Jimmy G who looked good at times, but only in good systems. And he comes here, even though he's 3-2, has not looked good, and like I said, thrown more picks than touchdowns.
And people are forgetting that Josh McDaniels, after the stint with the Broncos, went to coach the Rams as an offensive coordinator. He did, and they had a very, very bad offense. So everything is leaning toward we just have a bad offense. And like we said in another show that, remember we're talking about Belichick? Like, Belichick ain't nobody without Tom Brady.
I saw this on Twitter today.
Right? Yeah. Belichick ain't nobody without Tom Brady is what it's looking like. I don't want to disrespect a legendary coach like Bill Belichick, like Coach Belichick, because he's a legendary coach no matter what.
Those titles,
resume, I'm not taking away from him, but I'm for sure taking away from Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator because Tom Brady is the reason why Josh McDaniels looked so good. It was Tom Brady. It's not Josh McDaniels. So not looking that way, what has McDaniels done? Nothing.
And
what is he going to do? Nothing.
And you're right. And like I said, like you said, we're not taking anything away from Belichick, but after Brady left, I think maybe one playoff appearance and that was it.
Yeah.
And then with McDaniels, it seems like with him being New England's offensive coordinator, him and Tom Brady were always bumping heads. And now I'm starting to think maybe it was Tom Brady who just carried that team to those 6 or 7 titles and really did it for them. Because then he went off to the Bucs, won again, and looked the same. While New England regressed. And so maybe Josh McDaniels needs that elite quarterback, but I mean, there's only one Tom Brady. There's only one GOAT. So
if he's the owner, you can call him GOAT. We call him GOAT all we want. Hopefully, Tom Brady ends up being able to buy a stake in the Raiders because I feel like that will be a step in the right direction because his will to win is similar to Al Davis, just win baby, and I feel like we can head in a good direction with Tom Brady being an owner.
And I'm not saying Mark Davis isn't football minded, but a really great football mind in that organization having to say so.
And a guy that kind of, Tom Brady reminds me of, Kobe Bryant a little bit in the sense that like after his career, I don't see Tom Brady like just going out and just wanting to retire and be doing vacations. I feel like Tom Brady wants to work and win, continue to win, because he's just so competitive. You can just tell by the way he is.
Yeah.
He's super competitive, and you want a guy like that in our organization. And like you said, I mean, Mark Davis might not be making all the right and best decisions, but if he has a guy next to him like Tom Brady, that will really help MD a lot.
I think so. I just another voice, another, I think I would say maybe right-hand man. Just, hey, another voice. Hey, what do you think we should do? Or how would you, do here? Or, what should we, if next head coach, what should we look for of offensive scheme or whatever? What should we look for into something that maybe a football mind can come in and help them?
Yeah. We'll see you guys for our Raiders game preview. Raiders versus Lions on Monday Night Football. Like we said earlier, we want the Raiders to win this football game, but obviously doesn't look too good so far.
Exactly. Still a week away. I'm trying to get pumped up, trying to get excited. I want to go 500. I want to be back at 500. For as bad as we've been playing and everything, I want to be back to 500. But it's just hard when you look at all the offensive numbers and the ranks.
Yes.
And what we've been doing. It's just hard just to see that. But I think as time goes on, we pumped up, we'll be ready, and then we'll come on here and let them know how we're going to win on Monday.
Yeah, we'll be ready to give you a very exciting show for our pregame, our game preview. We'll see you guys then. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.